Here we are back again. What's going on, Nick? How's it feel to be back 2 days in a row, buddy?
Feels all right. You know, I'm living life. I'm enjoying my apartment.
Well, there you go.
I don't have much to add to how things are going.
Well, it's good. Everyone was wondering whether you were enjoying your apartment, so that's definitely good to hear. Did you pay any attention to the footage yesterday? I guess in a government hearing, basically it was revealed that a U.S. government entity has possession of quote unquote non-human bodies and aircrafts. This is the latest in viral UFO and alien content. Did you see any of this, Nick?
No, I did not see that.
Well, according to the tweet that Clemente has pulled up, former U.S. intelligence official David Grush claims under oath that he doesn't say aliens exist. That's what this tweet said. That's how you see the little, taking it to the next level. But basically, he says that the U.S. government is in possession of UFOs and non-human bodies. What do you make of that, Nick?
I mean, how big are these bodies? That's the first question. Like, is it like a small
Are you asking
character?
if the aliens are thick, Nick? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just wondering how large they are. Thick would refer more to your sexual attraction to them. For me, it actually had to do with just relative size, whether or not we could take them on in a fist fight, or if there were some sort of alternative interactions going on there. Who is this person? Former intelligence person?
Yeah, he was formerly intelligent.
Yeah, I don't know. Intelligence people tend to go crazy eventually. That's what happens when you operate in intelligence. You basically are paranoid. You start closing your windows. You realize that they're tracking you everywhere, and suddenly you become paranoid. This guy looks slightly normal, but is he crazy?
Pause it, Clemente. So we got the video pulled up right here. Look at his name tag. Like, that's what the name tags look like in these hearings? It's just like Mr. Grush and with no other information. Almost feels fake.
Okay. The name tag is perfectly normal at these hearings. So
it's the font letters. You can tell it's not Helvetica, so he thinks it's fake. But I have to say, anytime alien stuff comes up at this time of year, I'm always like, it's a fake out. They are looking to release information into the news, and it's something very important, but instead everyone's attention has to go to aliens. It's like what happened with the balloons recently. You had those balloons over in America, and everyone was like, it's the Chinese, or it's aliens, or whatever. And then obviously important news comes out. This always happens. And secondly, Nick, your question about size of the aliens is very important. We have an entire industry of movies built on the fact that aliens are way bigger than us and they come in huge ships. If these aliens just turn out to be like, pint-sized puppies, I mean, that's an entire industry gone overnight. Just putting it out there.
It is disappointing, right? Like, if there's just this, like, we may have an alien worm that had never been tracked that landed in a mini microchip. It would be sick if worms were like intelligent enough, though, to develop entire flying objects. To be clear, it would be way easier for a smaller item to make it a further distance than it would be for a larger item to make it a further distance. And so it would need way less fuel. And my assumption is it is possible that it exists, but those alien life forms, they probably are quite tiny, is my guess. And but they could still. What if all they were just giant walking brains? Like, that feels to me like something that feels a little more reasonable. You could have, like, have you seen like a giant octopus that's like deep underwater? Those things look like aliens. My guess is maybe with less of the octopus legs, but just like little like suction cup feet that they're just walking around, and it's just a brain flopping back and forth and that's all that it is. They don't even need eyes because the brain is that smart that it just senses everything around it. So you need to be as efficient with that body as possible in order to transport it beyond, but it also needs to be hyper intelligent in order to develop various craft that is capable of transporting them. The real question is how did they move from that flopping brain with suction cups into an item that was capable of
you can barely get through this. What is it about
developing metal arms?
What is about the brain
to it because it needed to get separate appendages when it was developing the ships, right?
Why is this funny to you? You think that this is extremely funny. What is it about the flopping brain with the suction cup octopus?
Just seeing just like flopping head with suction cup feet walking around being like, oh my God. But you could just stomp on it and kill it and squish it. But I don't know. I think that's probably the high likelihood of what this alien life form looks like.
Did you sleep last night, Nick, or are we getting silly 6-hour Nick?
I slept well.
Okay.
I got a full. I think
9?
it could be 9 hours. I feel like I fell asleep at least 8. It would be 8 hours.
I went out of my way to get 9 last night because the previous day, Tuesday, fun fact, on the day that the Bitcoin show happens, I'm a little bit of a nervous wreck, quite frankly, because I get nervous before that show every single time. And I usually do 1 full French press like this, and then 2 espressos that I make at home too. So it's quite a bit of coffee before the show, for sure. However, on Tuesday, I went to
add cocaine into that mix, PO, and just start and some a ton of sugar.
Yeah, well, I don't do that. But when I went to get the breakfast burrito, the best breakfast burrito in Williamsburg, Easy's heard me talk about it before.
You love that thing, man. I'll say he loves the thing.
It's the best.
I've heard more about it than anything else. I've heard more about the breakfast burrito than I have about Bitcoin, and that's saying a lot.
Pio's all about he's like, yo, I'm only about natural supplements. I would never take medicine whatsoever. So he tries to come at me the other day. He's like coffee, like French press coffee, and I'm like, bro, the cavemen were not using French press coffee, and they weren't using coffee. And he was like, no, they were definitely using coffee.
I didn't say cavemen were using coffee.
You were basically saying, you were kind of implying that. And so you went and looked it up. I was like, dude, I don't think coffee came around until much later. Maybe farmers were chewing on
800 AD. 800 AD, buddy.
That's pretty late.
1,200 years ago. I'll take it. It's not bad.
I mean, I feel like that's still pretty late.
There's nothing quite like a Celsius.
500
milligrams of caffeine, a bunch of preservatives, forever chemicals out the wazoo, and I'm good for at least 4 of them a day. It really gets your heart beating out your chest. You can't feel your toes. There's extremely unhealthy for you, but it's the only proper way to get through this space.
Well, you're a different animal. Easy's like a late 90s, early 2000s character on an MTV cartoon show that's just drinking energy drinks and eating like Lunchables and stuff. That's a different thing. But
I agree with what he was talking about, or what I was discussing was I had taken some pill for my digestive side, which the doctor had prescribed, and it made me feel like awful. Like a week into it, my stomach's just like pain, and I'm just like, man, fuck this thing. Like I'm not taking this anymore, which they don't recommend stopping, by the way. But I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna not take this anymore. And so we had a conversation about it, and in Pio's mind, basically, you cannot take any medicine whatsoever because it will kill you, right? And so it's just unhealthy. And instead, what you instead need to do is operate on a natural basis, not realizing that since medicine was developed, the average lifespan of humans has increased drastically. So I just want to start with that basis that when coffee first came out, Pio, around the time that you were talking about, people were dying at 18 years old. That's when the average lifespan was when they started drinking coffee.
But Nick, you're overthinking this. You're overthinking this. People stay inside way more now. That's why we live longer. There's nothing to do with medicine. It's just the fact that we have roofs, insulated walls. We wear socks. That's a big factor.
Well, they also don't just cut your stomach open voluntarily thinking that like the devil is inside of you and they're going to extract it, which is when coffee started being produced. Yet Pio suggested that I get my stomach extracted to remove the devil from within, was what he was telling me the other day, because that's natural.
I wouldn't say that was the message that I was sending. To wrap the story, I guess, it's basically that I got one of the Southwestern coffees from the breakfast burrito place, and it was just way too much coffee. It was also hot on a really hot day. It was stupid, and it made me stay up. I was like up at 1 a.m. laying in my bed just trying to go to sleep, so I had to make up for it last night. But anyway, you should try that burrito sometime.
Can't make up for lost sleep, though. That's what they always say. But you can get a good night of sleep, and that's the key thing, is getting a good night of sleep is really important. Someone said is coffee the devil's drink? And no, it's just what Pio drinks on a regular basis and thinks that, you know, this is that this was destined for positive physical health and well-being, was consuming 350 milligrams of coffee in the morning in the first hour and a half.
Well, there you go. Look, we'll see if aliens are real or if the government, like Signal said, is trying to distract us from something else. Our commenters are throwing out some stuff in the comments that I don't even know if I want to say on the show. I think I would say it if Nick wasn't here, but I feel like if I say it in front of Nick, he's going to be like, oh, that's a load of BS, or something like that. But I Googled it right after, and I'm like, oh, wait, is that actually like something that happened? I don't know. All I know is super elite people, like the super rich elites or whatever, they always have some gnarly stuff going on. So what was an example of that? I don't know, dude.
Well, so the most common thing is like injecting children's blood into yourself.
Dude,
That's a common one.
What do you mean?
Yep. No, you haven't heard about this?
Wait,
no, I know. Having a blood boy, I know it's funny. The blood boy joke, I get it. I know.
What? I don't know the blood boy joke that you're talking about. I'm legitimately speaking about the fact that if you inject, and it's not just the blood, it's the
plasma.
The plasma of young children into your body that actually extends your life.
All right, well, we'll get you some young blood, Nick, to keep your keep your clock ticking. Kix was supposed to be on the weather report. I guess he is taking the day off. Sig, you write the weather report. Are you able to provide us with that information?
Absolutely. It is today, Thursday, the 27th of May. Total market volume coming in the high 13s. Blur taking that lion's share as usual at 11.6, while OpenSea down at 2.5. Will we see OpenSea just like break under 2, maybe going to 1.5 this year? Who knows? On to leaders, not a huge amount of change there, but apes are still holding 30.9. Mutants still hovering around that 5.6 area. Punks under 50, but holding nicely at 47.6. You got D-Gods just, recovering from their 7s, back at 8.0. Azuki back over the 4s, back into 5.1. Captain steady at 5.2, and Pudgy's just keeps holding that 4.2 wall. Over the past 24 hours, Artifact have shared a sneak peek of the Animus PFP. Obviously, early in July, the team revealed the Animus trailer featuring lots of new characters. Animus eggs were, and the Animus eggs did well yesterday. They were up 13% and holding almost a 0.4 ETH floor. On to CryptoPunks, and a Punk's wallet, which was inactive for 4 years, just came back to life out of nowhere. The wallet contained 17 zombie punks, and the owner just recently wrapped their V1 punks and then moved them into the same wallet as the zombie punks, so they have those matching pairs. It's a stunning wallet if you're ever going to see one. On to Rect Radio. If you were a listening participant yesterday, you would have seen that the Twitter space hosted by Keyboard Monkey, OSF Mando, and sponsored by Rollbit, they gave away $182,000 worth of NFTs after a listener pulled a rare ice-skinned Pudgy worth 88 ETH. That's $160,000. Another stunning win for a Pudgy there. And lastly, themes and variations by artist Vera Molnar. That was her collection, powered by Art Blocks, auctioned by Sotheby's. Ended up being a big win for minters. The 500-piece collection started in a Dutch auction at 20 ETH, but actually sold out at 1 ETH, with secondary trading seeing sales as high as 5 ETH already. On to crypto, BTC holding 29.4, ETH in the high 1800s, Solana at 25.2, Ape 2.0. The things are pretty steady over in crypto. It's back to you, folks.
Fantastic weather report as usual, Signal. Some updates from the Nifty Daily Digest, which is the daily newsletter that you can subscribe to at thenifty.com. You also have to have an account at thenifty.com to claim the free NFTs that we give away almost every day. We're giving one away today, so make sure you go to thenifty.com and make that account. First story is Chimpers launched the Chimpers Creator Academy, which is a program aimed at equipping Chimpers creators with essential tools and knowledge for content creation, offering live training modules, exclusive support, and potential physical collectibles upon graduation. Second story is that Renga has announced an exclusive drop in collaboration with Formula One team Haas Racing, minting on August 1st, which includes a 1,000 supply of dynamic Renga NFTs and access to raffles such as winning a driver fire suit, ENS names on the F1 car, meet and greets, and more. The art is definitely super duper cool. I don't know about selling 1,000 more Renga NFTs. That's like what I think about, but this art is super duper dope. No surprise, because Dirty Robot's art and the Renga art style, in my opinion, is awesome. Blur has updated their activity page, now allowing users to compare floor price performances of various collections at once over a 1, 7, or 30-day time horizon. Last but not least, Floor, the NFT portfolio mobile app, has launched a collaboration with artist Vinny Hager, where users can customize their app icon and banner and receive a Vinny Hager NFT for $30 using in-app purchases, with only one purchase allowed per account. So interesting to see NFTs being dropped through the App Store there. Very, very cool stuff. Those are your updates from the Nifty Daily Digest. Nick, some thoughts there? Saw a chuckle.
It was at this comment about how need Haas not to suck on track. They've been reaching out to a bunch of people in the NFT space. So I had on my LinkedIn profile that I was a Bored Ape Yacht Club member before. I think I deleted it. I don't know maybe it's still on there. I added that in 2021. And so a lot of businesses would reach out thinking that you're like
an employee,
of the company. And one of those companies was Haas Racing, that was pitching essentially sponsorship. So they had all the amounts that they were charging and everything else. It actually seemed insanely reasonably priced, but that's also, as the person said, they're not one of the top 10, but they are prominent figures on the, whatever that F1 show is on Netflix. I'm blanking on the name of that
Drive
show.
to Survive.
Drive to Survive. Great show. And Haas, that Austrian guy is I don't know the coach's name, but he's
You talking about Gunther?
Yeah, Gunther is quite this character in the show. Basically, like he seems sort of like it's like the drama is very high, but like they're not chasing like the top spot in racing. They're like competing for like the 10th spot basically. But the way that Netflix is presenting it is like the drama is real. And the drama that guy's dealing with is the fact that a sponsor never lasts longer than one season, basically, like, because it's not the number one team. So like no one wants to sponsor this team, other than the fact that I think the most compelling part is they're on that Netflix show. So if you get them on there, then you end up on that Netflix show as long as that show continues, which I think is going to continue indefinitely, because that's a better experience observing that show
than watching the race,
than watching the normal races, basically, because they infuse the drama that's associated with the backstory behind the race, and it really builds up the passion. Otherwise, you need to be like on top of what's going on in F1 in order to summarize what's going on.
And then you just watch a bunch of left turns. Left turn after left turn for 2.5 hours. It's
okay,
like,
well,
wow.
You're talking about NASCAR.
What they're the same?
No.
So
they're not even close at all.
I had a meeting with somebody yesterday that through like their company, they'd gotten a chance to go to several F1 races, and they're a huge sports fan. And they were like, yeah, the F1 stuff was actually a little bit underwhelming compared to like what people talk about. I think because people really are humongous fans of F1. But this person said that they got to the race and you just watch the race on the TV just over there. Like you watch it on the screen.
Well, because the place that you're seated, you only see one segment.
Yeah.
And literally it's just a car going by and a person being like, like you're not getting
Can we see that? Can we see it one more time?
Like you're not getting much excitement. They're there for a split second, and you can see, what's cool is you can understand how truly fast these cars are going.
They're going hella fast,
which is impressive to see, and it's wildly dangerous, like the entirety of the situation. But basically, you just get that single, like it flying by, and then you're just like, okay, there they go. And the car actually, like the TV, at least gets cameras on the cars and everything else. Drive to Survive is all that you need in order to understand F1 racing. And frankly, it makes you want to buy some of the merch because like you're getting the characters, you're getting this other stuff associated with it. You're becoming this F1 fan. It's the best way to deliver sports content as far as I'm concerned, because you don't need to watch the whole season. Like the NFL needs some equivalent version of this, so I can go watch my summary version of what happened last season.
Well, NFL has Hard Knocks, which is actually similar in the sense that it's so dramatic. But what we're talking about is like the 54th and 55th guy on the roster trying to make the team. It's not like, is JJ Watt going to lose his starting position? No, everyone knows that guy is going to like get a huge contract and start all year. It's some random ass guy that's just trying to get a minimum contract, and they're acting like it's the most dramatic thing ever.
Real quick, the other thing that wasn't brought up today, and this is unrelated to F1 racing, and it's closer to something that's on subject.
Are you going to be sporting this merch, Nick? I like the idea of you wearing this merch with all the sponsor tags on it.
Dude, their stuff is sick. Like, I'm just saying, like, it looks good. And
it's weird to me to buy a sporting merch thing and it's just covered in like Red Bull insignia and other brand insignia. I know it's part of the sport.
But you know what? The people who I see wear this merch, every time they have a stunning car. Like always. It's always an older guy. Yeah. It's always an older guy in his 50s.
They're rich.
And then, he's rich.
Loaded.
And he has the baseball cap. And then he has like the jacket, like the rain jacket. And then he goes and gets into this like stunning rare car. Like I don't see many young people going around with the F1 merch. And also, Nick, to your point,
his wife's 23 years old, and you're sort of debating whether or not that makes sense. Like you're like, that's kind of questionable, but I guess this is the spoils of wealth. I don't know.
It's okay. She matches the car. She's hot. She matches the car. It's okay. No, but also as well, most people who go to F1, at least in Europe, and people who I know who go to F1 don't know anything about F1. If they're going to Monaco, they're just going because, it's the place to be seen on Instagram. They don't know the rules. They don't know the name of the drivers except for Lewis Hamilton, or the people who go to maybe Singapore for the Grand Prix at night. Again, it's all about being seen. It's not about watching the race. So I'm with you. No, I'd rather watch the Netflix show.
And also, look, to your point, Signal, you were spot on. The distinction is if you're wearing a football jersey, your average net worth is far less than that of wearing an F1 merch. So I'm just telling you. And so if you want to look rich, basically, you can throw that on. And as ridiculous as it looks, you are correct, Pio, with all of the logos. It's ludicrous. But what you're showing is that you can afford to operate in this space, and you tend to fly around to all the places that the F1 races are at because you're basically retired, early, and you're just like chilling, and so you're just flying to all these different places. Anyways, the thing that was unrelated to all of this is that we thought was going to cause a lot of crypto price action yesterday was the Fed coming in with an interest rate hike, but it literally did nothing. Like basically crypto was priced in. Sorry. What? You both spoke at the same time. Pio, you always speak at the same time. Easy. What? Go ahead.
I was saying, I said price went up. You had a 9% day on Solana yesterday.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it was
good
priced
day.
in, right? Easy. I mean,
Well, it
this
was like expected. It was everyone was based on the conversation after, which was like relatively bullish. I didn't get to catch the whole thing. I had read just about it after, but the 25-point BPS hike was priced in, and then there was no. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was no like direct confirmation, I guess you could say, of it being like this is the last hike, but it seemed like the conversation wasn't as negative as it has been previously, which was like the bigger thing for this. Like people were anticipating some level of like speculation on what was actually going to go down from like where you are going to keep raising rates. Is it going to be a soft landing? What's going to happen? And it basically went against all that. And we saw crypto rally quite nicely. We saw the dollar continue to sell off. It was, all things considered, a fairly bullish FOMC.
I think basically, well, what's interesting or has been fascinating is the economy has not slowed at all, but interest rates just keep rising, which goes against all sort of theses. And maybe it's just because there's still so much money that's just floating around. I don't know. Whatever it is, the wheels are still turning. Inflation is going down. Interest rates are coming up. I mean, I like it. I can put some money in some T-bills, you know? You got to get those T-bills.
Well, well, it's not even worth talking about it right now. I'll talk to you offline about it, Nick. But yeah, basically, there's a lot of options right now for people if they have any amount of money to do interesting things with it. And Nick's face. But yeah, so Anthony Pompliano, his newsletter, I just saw it in my inbox when we were playing the music at the beginning of the show, and I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but it was basically to the effect of the Fed might pull off a miracle because so is this assumed to be the final rate hike? Is that where we're at?
I don't know about that. I think they want to see the housing market probably
pull back.
Pull back. We've started to see it, but the stuff that I read, I mean, this is like boring stuff, but it was basically like existing home sales have pulled back and prices have started to go down, but we've seen no decrease in new home sales. And like the country's biggest builder, DR Horton or what I forget the name of it. But basically, I'm like wondering, is that builder just make shitty houses? Like whenever I picture these like home building companies, the largest ones, I feel like they're just like being like chicka, chicka, chicka. Like just like printing houses,
alien house building
out of a machine. No, just like a 3D house printer sort of thing. Like they just go down the street and it's just like a machine that's going down. And it's like whoa, whoa. Like and it just drops, and then they go down to the next plot. Whoa, boom. Like,
well, Nick, I mean, you're from Virginia. Matt, you know when you're driving like from New York to a different city, and you drive through these kind of like suburban places, and there's sections like maybe you got off to get gasoline or you went to grab some food or something like in a place that you've never been before that's not a city, and you see these stretches where there's like 25 houses that basically all look the same. You know what I'm talking about? Or like near golf courses and stuff. There's like all these.
You're explaining housing complexes to me. like
I'm saying like there's these new houses where like you're like, well, why would someone want to live way out here? But there's like 25 identical houses that are pretty new. I feel like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Also, there was one where was I? Oh, going to the Hamptons basically. But like in between here and the Hamptons, there was like one random town, and you're driving by, and suddenly like there's an area with, bushes surrounding the whole place, or like a fence. So it's a gated community. So like adding that gate, really elevated the status of it. So you're living in a gated community, except there's literally nothing nearby. But I think the real metric is just, is there a Whole Foods nearby? If there's a Whole Foods nearby, you basically are in at least a decent area. So that's the real metric. But
the second one is a Apple store. So it's like if you got a Whole Foods nearby, you're in a good neighborhood. If you got an Apple store, even
Lululemon.
better. And then the third one is Lululemon. If you got Lululemon, then good God. I mean, if you can go and buy $125 sweatpants, then now we're talking, guys. Okay, now we're talking. Over here where I live, got all three, right? Where Nick lives, got all three. Interesting where, like, you know, my mom lives, for example, got two. I don't know about Lululemon. That's a big, come on now. Do we have Lululemon? I don't know.
They got Apple and Whole Foods though, where your mom lives?
Well, definitely Whole Foods. You got to drive maybe like 16 minutes to Apple.
Well, then that's not next to your mom.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We're working
You're
on
like
it.
near her, but you have to drive 45 minutes, which is like
16.
That's close. When you like live in suburbia, you know, driving a 15 to 20 minute drive is sort of like that is nearby, I guess.
But it's undesirable.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you like, that's just part of like life, basically, is the driving. So where we're at here, driving is just not part of life.
Nick and Easy, I had a quick question on the Fed meeting and the S&P and everything. I was very, from my basic like analytics that I was doing yesterday. Basically, I'm looking at it and the S&P is very close to its all-time high that it reached in December 2021. I was looking at crypto during that time, and Bitcoin was at 65 grand.
Well, all-time high for crypto was a month and a half before that.
Right. So, I mean, from my point of view, I'm like, why is crypto basically like a third of the price that it was at compared to when the S&P was at that price? Why is like, what's causing this lack of correlation between the two?
Because the Bitcoin halving cycle. Go ahead.
Well, you also saw FTX collapse. You saw the entire United States government consistently push back on crypto. You just saw a lot of like lack of confidence after the last like blow off top, which caused a lot of the negative price action. And for the lack of like confluence between the traditional market and what we have now, there's always been speculation that there will be a decoupling eventually. And I think more people were hoping that the decoupling led to the upside, not the downside, but we're still seeing like some positive price action that is in correlation. But I think largely it was due to all the negative, like the absolute just shitstorm that basically went down. You had FTX, which was the biggest entity, imploding.
So here's a better chart here for you, Clemente, is basically this, this actually shows over the past year or 5 years, Bitcoin is the top one. So when you look at the comparison of Bitcoin upside versus the SPY, it's not about the price. It's about the
volatility.
Yeah, exactly. And like Bitcoin in the same, did the S&P go up 100%? Because Bitcoin went from 16,000 to basically 32,000. We're somewhere within that range. We're not at 32, but that's 100% growth. Did the S&P go 100% from where it was? And I think that's really where you're looking. The low was 362 on the SPY is the thing that I look at as a correlation, and it went up to 459. So the answer is no. Like it just hasn't. So I think this comparison, it's not price that you're looking at. You're looking at percentages. And Bitcoin, when it has these astronomical moves, people are just like, oh, it only went up 100%. Well, yeah, if you'd put all of your money in Bitcoin instead of S&P, you would have made far more money when after it hit its low. So I just don't think that that's necessarily a fair comparison. What makes Bitcoin or ETH or any of these things go back to their all-time highs or break new highs is going to be Pio likes the Bitcoin halving is the cycle.
Well, it's not that I like it. It's that it's happened 3 times in a row. I'm not saying it happens forever, but if you're going to bet whether or not it happens a 4th time, like it's happened 3 times in a row.
So, well, we're all betting that it does.
We're all betting it's going to happen again.
But also, obviously, we're definitely all betting it's going to happen again. But it's also the macro environment of 2021 is completely different to what we have now, where we had much lower interest rates back in 2021 compared to now, and also inflation was lower as well. So it's not just a question of saying S&P was at its all-time high. Now we're back at our all-time highs. So why isn't Bitcoin and other risk-on assets following the same pattern? Obviously, like right now, if you there's an opportunity cost of where you put your money. You can put your money in, in T-bills and just be very happy that you're getting that 5% per year. Or you can be in crypto, but then why take that risk when you have a guaranteed 5%? You couldn't have got a guaranteed 5% back in 2021. So you always have to look at it as an opportunity cost of where money will flow as well.
No, absolutely. And I mean, look, so I saw Franelations tweeting with Node about this yesterday because Node likes to occasionally, like, it's funny to me, Node like puts these tweets out where he basically, the summation of what he says is like, Bitcoin sucks, is what the tweets are pretty much, which I always get a kick out of, right? And then Franelations came in and basically defended Bitcoin. And what Fran got to is that basically Solana will be the next crypto cycle's Ethereum, in the sense that last cycle, from a price perspective, Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin, right? Like if you had put all your money in Ethereum at the bottom versus all your money in Bitcoin, the upside was higher for Ethereum. So what Node and Fran were saying is that the upside for Bitcoin is even lower now, which actually does make sense, right? Because the cat's out of the bag, that Bitcoin is the safest asset in crypto, whereas outside of crypto, people look at it as the riskiest asset. You know, someone that's like 70 years old probably isn't even going to acknowledge Ethereum and Solana, right? If they're going to touch anything, it would be Bitcoin. So you have the riskiest asset to the outside of the crypto world versus, but in the crypto world, it's considered the safest asset. So what Fran is saying is that Sol is going to do what ETH did in the 2017 cycle. First of all, I like this. We're building on Solana. I'm accumulating Solana right now. I was talking to Nick yesterday. In the past few months, I've accumulated more Bitcoin than I thought I had. I've accumulated a full Bitcoin in the past like seven or 8 weeks. One new Bitcoin and like 8 Ethereum. So I was like, damn. Like, first of all, wow, I didn't realize I was going that aggressive. Second of all, I don't have enough of Solana right now. So I'm looking to build a sizable stack of Solana, because if I think about it, I think the easiest way to think about this stuff, and I'm talking about price right now, because I know a sizable percentage of our listeners only care about price. And when we talk about any of this stuff, the framework that they're thinking about it in is singularly a price framework. So if we want to talk about price, I don't think I could go and pitch one of my friends that's way outside the space but owns like some Bitcoin right now, right? Because we still have the stink on the space from the FTX debacle. I definitely couldn't pitch them on NFTs. That's a given. Not going to happen. But I don't even think I could say, hey, go buy 20 grand worth of Solana. I think they'd be like, what are you even talking about? You know what I mean? But that gets me excited, because I'm like, I know that Solana is not bullshit. So if I buy a bunch of Solana right now, I'm front running someone like that might FOMO in, you know, at the top, right? So that's what's interesting to me, is like, if you want to think about price and you want to think about like a trade going into the next bull cycle, I love Solana. I'm a big Solana person right now. Go ahead, Nick.
The only other one I'll add, Melissa's always pumping her Pepe bag, and I disagree with her. But you're maybe a little too heavy on that, Melissa. But on the Pepe side,
it's a ticker that says PEPE. That's what you're buying. Anyway,
so well, the same thing with Doge, but Doge is interesting only from, and I had mentioned that before, just from the oh my God, why am I blank? Elon Musk call option is what this would be basically. That he integrates Dogecoin into Twitter, like first and foremost would be the expectation there. And maybe you have people calling again for, you know, $1 Doge. I like the idea of having just a little bit of Doge.
I got a little bit
sitting in the portfolio. But yeah, Solana, big upside. Bitcoin right now is outperforming Ethereum technically over the past year.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I mean,
no, I'm just, dude, there's stretches, man. I still would expect Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin in terms of price. The thing is like, you can just, like, with Bitcoin, you can like save your money with it. Like it's like a savings account, you know, it's a volatile savings account, but it's like a savings account, right? And a lot of people believe,
that's the most top signal comment you could ever possibly say about a crypto asset is like, dude, it's basically like a savings account. You dump it all in Anchor. It gives you 20% APY.
No,
totally stable. Anytime you start saying savings account with crypto, shit hits the fan. For all we know, tomorrow, Satoshi Nakamoto is going to come back and it's going to be like, I'm actually a CZ from Binance, and Binance is illiquid.
You basically said it's basically a savings account, but volatile, which means inherently it's not a savings account. Like, I want to be clear. The number one point of a savings account is that it is not volatile.
Sure.
That it is accessible. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
But what about like over 9 years, like the next 9 years, right? Like if you're going to look at how much you would have made in interest in an actual savings account versus if you just put that money in Bitcoin.
That's not the point of savings account, though.
I mean, but like, okay, look, if I say I had a niece or a nephew who was like 0 years old, right? They'd just been born. I could probably say that's your savings account, but don't touch it for the next 20 years. It unlocks in 20 years. It has some Bitcoin. That's your savings account. If I'm trying to buy a house next year and I'm putting all my money in Bitcoin because I need a deposit.
For a house next year, it would work.
No. That might not be there next year. That could
it would work for next year.
Account. It's not, don't say it's a savings account. It's not a savings account.
I literally have a mental allocation to buy a rental property, like where I'm putting this amount of Bitcoin away for the rental property because of where we're at in the cycle. Because of we bottomed, FTX bottom. People might be like, no, we got further down to go. There's nothing that's going to push Bitcoin below the FTX bottom. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, what the hell is going to push it below that? That's impossible.
A rental property, though, you got to set your sights much, much higher. Next cycle with Solana, dude.
He's going to be yielding 4% per year, dude.
4% per year. I mean, I'm aiming for the 10,000x. I'm not aiming for the 2.3% savings account return.
It's not 2.3%. It's way more than that. But no, you are right that I do not have enough Solana at all. I'm literally going to be just deploying into Solana consistently. I was buying, over the past few days too. I just got to keep going. No. I mean, look, people are joking about this.
Dude, where is all this cash flow coming to just buy an extra Bitcoin right now, though? If it's coming from your salary, we're paying you too much, okay? Like, I'd like to adjust.
No, I moved savings into it. I had to. But it's because, look, I mean, we had OSF and Mando on the show. They were saying 40K, is not unrealistic by the end of the year. And I totally agree with them. I just find it so interesting that the cycle has happened 3 times and people act like there's no foundation. There's just no foundation for it. Like, guys, pay attention to the history. If there's any chart you want to look at how many days we are away from the next halving. Look at how many days it's been since the FTX cycle bottom. Look at when previous all-time highs were post-halving. Like, look at these numbers and start calculating averages. It's not going to give you the exact day. There's no math that leads to the exact day, but you can have an idea of where the hell you're at in these sequences. And no one on the crypto and the NFT side, no one pays attention to this because there's this like strange boredom and disdain towards Bitcoin. All this stuff is fueled by the halving cycle, at least right now. Maybe 2-3 halvings from now, we're in a completely different, situation. But like, until the halving doesn't matter, like until it's proven, okay, the halving no longer matters. It didn't work. Why would I not at least factor it into consideration? And where we're at now is we're at the start of the next cycle. Keep in mind, the next cycle doesn't mean you buy Bitcoin today and it goes up by 100% tomorrow. This stuff the last all-time high was 1.5 years after the halving. Like, no one waits that long. 1.5 years after the halving, guys. What's so funny? It's a long time.
You've been on this tip where you give us the timeline, but anyways.
Someone said, can Bitcoin 10x next cycle from here? Probably not. That would be a gnarly run. That's probably not. But is there anything else that you can just literally, again, treat like a savings account and just pump money into and sleep well at night, even if it pulls back by 10, 15%? No, no, there's not. There's not.
Excellent.
All right, no retort. I mean, I guess I'm just thinking about it the right way. But yeah, definitely, we got to pull up some numbers on the show sometime with the number of days pre-post halving from cycle bottom, from cycle top, to look at some averages and just get some kind of idea of where we're at. To wrap up on the FOMC stuff, I mean, it's pretty cool to have a rate hike and then have Solana go up afterwards. Pretty fun stuff. Any other comments on this? Otherwise, look, we got some NFT stories. The artifact Project Animus art teasers. It looks like Easy and Nick had a little side discussion on this. What do you guys make of these things?
I think they look like the Azuki animals. Like, I think they're left facing, which I wasn't expecting. Like, you went from 3D Clone X's to a left facing shark robot hybrid. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I want to know if I'd go as far as they look like shit, but it's definitely not for me.
It's
Like-
kind of like that moment when you've been watching the cartoons for years and then they finally get into the cereal box and then you take it out of the cereal box and you're like, eh? That's what it feels like. Like the cereal box toy does not match the IP. Because in the Animus trailer, they look awesome. I agree with you, Easy. They look really, really cool in the trailer. And then here they could look a bit underwhelming.
What are you gonna do with this thing? You like minted this thing and you're like they dropped it and now you got this like shark looking without a face. I don't understand what it is. Like it's a shoe shark. Like it looks like you could put it on your shoe or on your foot and walk around with it, and they call that a shoe shark. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're going for shoe-like animals.
I like the shoe shark description. That's pretty good. I mean, Artifact has to. Dude, it's interesting. I mean, Nick, did you see, these acquisitions during the social media era, right? Because Artifact is kind of like, Artifact is the biggest NFT company acquisition we've seen, right? I mean, it got bought by Nike, right? What would be bigger?
I would say the Yuga buying Larva Labs, maybe.
No, because that's an NFT company buying an NFT project. No way. I mean, Nike bought Artifact so that they could make metaverse shoes and physical shoes. Like that's different than Yuga Labs buying some JPEGs.
What other acquisitions have we even had?
Exactly. What have we even had?
No one wants to buy these companies right now. So shout out to everyone who's just waiting for the market to come back because nobody's interested. There's literally nobody that wants to buy an NFT company right now. They're like, we'll get back to you. Hey, let's stay in touch. Maybe we grab some coffee sometime.
It's one of those they're walking away. They're like, call me.
Okay, so they were acquired by Nike. I think the biggest question is what incentive does Nike have to make NFT prices go up, which is an extremely specific thing to focus on, versus make interesting things that get engagement or revenue versus make NFT prices go up. What do you make of this acquisition and what comes next? I don't know. I kind of feel like as time goes on, it's less and less likely for Nike to be we want to have a team that day in and day out, their focus is make the NFT prices go up on the secondary. Your whole job, make the NFT prices go up. We're going to make barely any revenue from that because it's just going to be royalty revenue on Ethereum, which doesn't even trade nearly as high volume as something like Solana, for example, but make NFT prices go up. I just find it hard to believe that Nike would, put resources forward to make that happen. I don't know. I don't know if I'm thinking about that the wrong way, but.
Man, there's no telling what'll happen when the next bull market happens. Right now, it's just everything feels kind of dead. I'm talking about F1 racing. So that's what we've been discussing here. It's tough out there. It's also tough launching a PFP project right now. There's 10KTF has their PFP project.
That's not by people.
So they have their 10KTF, or they have that project dropping. There's a lot of ones that are.
And the G tag is basically an illiquid ERC 1155 with a 10% royalty and a 2.5% OpenSea fee.
Yep.
Elegantly put. Yeah, there's no argument.
10% royalty and no liquidity.
Well, there you go. I don't know what to say about that.
What should we set the royalty to? Throw it up at 10.
What's the name of that collection? It's impossible to find these.
Stock room.
10 KTF stock room.
Stock room, and there's G tags in there in the stock room. Yes, there is. 0.36. Wow. Well, it's not. there is some activity on there, but it's all priced in at this point. It's 0.36 to buy these. Anyways, long story short, I think the playbook for a lot of the bigger ones, I think it's more difficult to be a bigger project right now than it is to be a smaller project.
Absolutely. 1000%. Come on now.
Because
Absolutely.
like there's nothing that they can reveal. The bar for what they have to reveal is so high, and the NFT people just are so dismissive of literally anything that you produce, basically, that it's just like you're not going to impress them. Bored Ape Yacht Club is going to launch a AAA game, and then people are going to play it, and they're just going to be like, "Oh, the gameplay on this thing sucks." Like, but it's going to be like, "Yeah, we spent $5 million or $10 million producing this game, or $20 million," and people are just going to be like, "Oh, gameplay on this thing is just awful." I'm assuming in the process of their partnerships that they did with who's the tech company that backed their gameplay?
Immutable? No.
No.
What's it called? It's like one word, right? That's kind of like Immutable, kind of.
Yeah. And anyways, whatever it is, the
Improbable.
Improbable.
Yeah,
it's
that
like
was
Immutable.
close.
Improbable.
I feel like I would hope that Improbable, essentially it was like a de-risking of this situation where Bored Ape Yacht Club was able to get a high quality game but not absorb all of the costs associated with it, with the development, which is like a great situation, because Improbable is saying, well, we want to develop our technology and we're already investing in it, but now we have more capital that goes that way. Bunny, what's going on with you, dude? What's going on in your life?
I'm coming back. I'm at the store. I just picked up a Prime Energy drink.
You're serious, aren't you?
100% serious.
What is wrong with you with these Prime Energy drinks, man?
Dude, they're so addicting, man. They make you shake, but there's something about them that keeps you coming back for more.
That has got to be so bad for you, dude. Are you smoking cigarettes while you drink the Prime Energy drink?
No, you usually rip a heater after. Because once you start getting the anxiety from the Prime Energy drink, you need the cigarette to calm yourself back down.
Dude,
this is an American diet, honest, hardworking. Just
got it. It's the caffeine in the morning. You drink the alcohol at night, because the alcohol treats the anxiety temporarily. By the way, the next day you start having more anxiety again. But I like this cigarette introduction as a third balance. I didn't realize that cigarettes reduce anxiety, though. I've never run into that.
I think they increase your heart rate, which kind of do the opposite.
I'll give it a try. You know, it's always worth a go just to see what happens. Real quick, and my apologies to Clemente. You did have the FOMC in the show notes, and I switched the order. Did not realize that it was in there. I scanned over, didn't see it.
It's okay.
And but anyways,
That's
well,
okay.
Bunny's out doing his healthy morning run, and that's good. I got nothing else to add.
Okay, well, some people are weighing in on Bunny's diet. I do find it pretty fascinating.
Shrooms to balance it out, apparently.
Need mushrooms. Interesting. I mean, we were going to. So let's just touch on this Cyberkongz mint. We didn't cover it yesterday. Clemente has it right here in the call sheet. Easy. Any perspective on the Cyberkongz mint here?
I'm like relatively interested in it. It is a 0.25 mint price, which is pretty damn high, which is tough, but they're doing something on the Ronin network, and they had a pretty large user base yesterday.
The Axie Infinity built Ronin network.
Yeah, so they're releasing 3,000 NFTs on there. I think 9,000 on ETH. That 7,000 are going to current holders for. And to me, it's kind of an interesting play, just because like in this market, it's a little tough, obviously, but they've got a lot of users that are using the Ronin network for the first time because of this like loot box model that they have that went live yesterday and was really well received on the timeline. So I'm kind of interested to see how it moves on secondary. And I do want to take a deeper look into the Ronin network. They have a bunch of other games on there now outside of just Axie, which is what really interests me, because it's clear that they're still scaling, but I just haven't had time to dive into it all.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a mint at the bottom of the bear market. Is this an Anon team?
Cyberkongz? No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No.
Cool. Well, we'll have to see what happens with it. It's a high mint price, 0.25 ETH, and it's on the Ronin network. Reminder that the Ronin network did get hacked for $400 million in late 2021. They did end up recovering the equivalent of the Ethereum. Nick, should I share what you have on the screen on YouTube right now?
No.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Well, look, Clemente, let's roll out the free NFT, please. Clemente.
So
What are you doing?
I was queuing. I thought we were. The password for today's free NFT is Triumph 18. TRIUPH 1.
That's not how you spelled Triumph, Clement. Well, you spelled it right here, but you just read it. You said Triumph. Triumph with an M.
Triumph 18 at thenifty.com/claim. Go claim that for your free NFT today. And the password is also pinned up and tweeted up at the top of the space. We're going to go ahead and claim that right now as
Easy.
well.
Well, also, what are we about to roll out on the site?
Oh, relax.
Whoa.
Oh, we're not doing that
Chill
right
out. No, not.
Wow, Nick's funny.
Nick's like, yeah. So do we just announce it right now? Like, do we just let it fly? Relax.
Undermining all of Easy's, like the little.
Chill,
Never mind. Never mind.
Chill. I know your brain's working. It's flowing. You just had some good time off. You're ready to go. You just
drinking
smoked the
Prime?
heater. Yeah, you're good to go.
Drinking Prime. Nick, how much do you hate this free NFT?
now. Okay.
Scale of 1 to 10.
My-
Nick needs another heater. That's what he needs. Nick, we're going long on Sol here on the breakout to 27.
Yeah, I bought more Solana. I'm in right now. I'm trying. I want at least 1,000 Solana, or 1,000 Sol.
I like that. What's that? 25K?
I'm up to 20K right now in Sol. I don't know if I'm how many Bitcoin, because I got to go check my ledger to see how many I have. I think I'm at like 2 Bitcoin.
There we go. Bravo, Nick. Very nice. That's going to just be impossible in like 20 years. So it's good that you got it now. It's literally going to be like basically impossible to have 2 Bitcoin in 20 years. Basically going to be impossible.
Physically, you won't be able to do it.
It's just you're not going to be able to accumulate that much simply because it's just going to be because it's going to be $1 million for each individual.
There won't be
Bitcoin.
20 years?
dollars in the world to purchase that.
It's basically going to be impossible to get 2 Bitcoin in 20 years. And by the way, the people in the comments that are just like, wait till you see the recession. That's going to end your theory on the Bitcoin halving. Mark the date. I was talking about Bitcoin being worth more in July 2024 than it was in July 2023. Mark the date. July, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be curious to see if these guys come back around and say I was wrong, because they won't.
Oh,
But
we'll
yeah.
do this in 20 years when I'm, 61, and I'll be on here discussing Pio being right.
There you go. Someone said it's not a bad call in his opinion. Duh. Bitcoin's literally programmed to go up, bruh. Look at the chart.
I think Mike DeFi is the best comment. There's only 21 million Bitcoin for 5 million people. Remember that.
Only 5 million people are ever going to want Bitcoin. That is a funny comment, Mike. You got a pudgy penguin. Shout out to Mike DeFi, having some fun with it. It seems like Mike actually understands Bitcoin, which is pretty cool to see. Mears just shouting out, let's all meet back here in 20 years. I'll be around, man. And me and Bunny will probably be like hunched over at that point, but I'll be ready to help him out with this diet of cigarettes and prime energy drinks. We're gonna get Bunny back to his high school wrestling days. Bunny was probably a specimen in high school if he was training on the wrestling team. I don't know if that scarred him. All that effort scarred him, and now he's just like, I'm just gonna eat some Cheetos and drink prime energy. Bunny, you have your hand raised. What did you want to say?
Well, not in game day shape, but dude, you keep talking about Bitcoin, and all I can think about is Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10. I told everybody yesterday it was bullish when Nick just completely didn't understand it, and since then NFT went from 0.6 to 0.76, and the coin's up over 112 million market cap.
Like 11 cents.
It's a cook.
Since yesterday.
It's
Yeah.
done a 2x.
The
since
cup,
we
dude.
talked about it.
Since you said that this doesn't make sense and is going to zero, it went up 100%.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. It reminds me of Miladies. It's like the deep, weird internet stuff. Nick left the show, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. You can't leave that long.
Real quick, something I just noticed also is Gemini switched their earn to grow.
They're bringing it back?
Well,
Are they
Bring
nuts?
it back.
it doesn't
Bring
exist in
it
the U.S.
back.
The Winklevoss twins they had like this good reputation in crypto. You know what I mean? Like Gemini in 2021, that was like a great reputation. They lit it on fire because they basically didn't want to like take any responsibility. And they were just like, Barry, it was Barry's fault. Having said that, Coindesk just sold. So maybe Barry has some tricks up his sleeve to keep the Barry train rolling.
That's called bankruptcy.
Desperation. Bankruptcy. Asset liquidation. What do you make of how much Coindesk sold for?
How much did it sell for?
125. Bottom of a bear market, 125.
125 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot of Bitcoin.
Well, so
That's how much one Bitcoin is going to cost in 20 years. Just kidding. Maybe. We'll see.
Where do you see that amount?
I think if you Google it.
It's all over the Googles. 125 is the number.
Yeah, Google it.
How about you just Google it?
Okay, for 125 million, I think the biggest thing is based on that conference. How much do you think that conference makes each year?
72 million.
No. A couple $1 million.
No, I think it's more than a couple million. They're probably making like it's probably $5+ million, maybe 10 million. I don't know during a bull market, those things will make a significant amount, but 125 million is pretty significant. That means that they need to be making at least 25 million a year would probably be like a reasonable amount that CoinDesk is generating in revenue. That's pretty crazy. It also sounds like this was a group led by blockchain investors. I mean, this isn't bought by a media company, which I think is all that you need to see about it. Is pretty much that it's the marketing arm for someone else who wants to sell a lot of crypto to people. Is essentially what the situation is, and that's what it was before. So I remember like some of the technical analysis coming. Was it what are the top crypto publications? There's
Cointelegraph,
Cointelegraph. Cointelegraph has the worst technical analysis, just hands down.
Dude,
Like
their charts are hilarious. Or it's like an article be like, here's the reason that Dogecoin is priming for a 10,000x. Yesterday it did 100x.
It makes no sense. Like they just post absolute garbage. It's so bad. The content is bad, and they do all these technical analysis things, which I'm just like, wait, that doesn't even seem right. Like I don't like where are you coming up with that? Like I have no idea. Yeah, it's so here's someone. Bitcoin gets 28K plunge protection with Bitcoin price due new volatility. Traders are predicting a flash Bitcoin price moves despite almost unanimous market predictions as to what the Fed will do next. And data from Cointelegraph Markets and TradingView showed Bitcoin price action hovering near 20. What does that even mean? Plunge protection? It's like I have no
protection.
Dude, look at this chart. Hold on. Let me show you this thing. This makes literal no sense. Bitcoin gets 28 plunge protection. Like, what is this? What am I looking at?
Bullshit. You're literally looking at this. Like,
It, Nick. You
look,
just don't
guys.
get it.
If I start talking about plunge protection, that's when you can say that I'm out to lunch, okay? And these guys are basically trying to predict the price of Bitcoin within like 2 weeks. Like, what are you even talking about?
Analyzing order book composition on the largest global crypto exchange, Binance, on-chain monitoring resource material indicators noted that one or more entities were preparing for Bitcoin's price to react to the Fed with fresh losses. 16 million worth of plunge protection bid liquidity sat at just below $28,000 on the day. Basically, someone came in and was like, I'm going to place a low bid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
You're going short, baby.
And they're calling it plunge protection for what that means. It's complete. This is just complete nonsense. Someone put in a low bid. They're hoping that they can get a low price on it, but that doesn't mean literally anything. It has no indicator of where the price is going to go, other than the fact that someone came in and is like, well, maybe there's a chance it goes down right now. We're going to buy more. That's all that this story is. But it's like indicating Bitcoin price is down, but data signals that 30K and above is the path of least resistance. Here's another. Analytics firm Glassnode reported a surge in whales inflows to exchanges, reaching their highest level in over 3 years at 41% of the total BTC inflows. This forceful sell-off from whales alarmed investors, especially in the absence of any significant negative events impacting Bitcoin in the past month.
Whoa!
Bitcoin's price crash may have been related to the U.S. dollar reversion. That is something that Easy would discuss. But
I discussed that a lot, actually.
He discusses the DXY.
It's just none of this matters.
But some of the other stuff doesn't make any sense. The path to 30,000 and above shows the least resistance, irrespective of the rationale. When you start with irrespective of the rationale behind the price move on July 14th, Bitcoin bears could not dampen investor optimism, resulting in higher odds of a recovery above 30,000 in the short term. What? Oh my God, I just clicked on a bunch of stuff. Anyways, I don't know what the hell this stuff even means, but this is just ridiculous.
So you wouldn't have paid 125 million for it?
Well, that's Cointelegraph. That was a different one that was bought. That was what is it? Coindesk. Coindesk is more legitimate, but the thing that's been odd about Coindesk historically is that like the way that they've been staffed and the type of content that's come out is a strong bias. That said, a lot of investor publications are. Investors Business Daily is very heavy on the technical analysis side of things. That's where they tend to focus, and it tends to be more conservative with some of the content that they publish. But so like there always is some inherent bias directionally where it is, but this is the directional bias for Coindesk has always been just like let's provide analysis that indicates that crypto is going to eventually go up. And now we also are now under the assumption, but that's because we've now seen it happen 3 times. I don't know though. Like it's one of those things when a private equity firm is buying it, or in this case, crypto investors. I don't know. So Tally Capital is one of them. Anyways, we don't need to go on and on about them, but like go to Tally Capital. It's nothing. It's just an empty page. And then also Capital 6. Let's check out Capital 6. Investing in people since the dawn of decentralization.
It's a good line. We do have to wrap, Nick.
No, let's keep talking, okay? Pia, we need to keep talking. There's nothing on this site either. I have no idea what this site is. And I don't even know if the pictures of the people on this site work at the company.
I don't know either, man.
So that's my take, okay? That was what that segment was. Nick's take on this situation, and it was a little drawn out and ADD there.
It's okay. And look, I honestly love hearing your perspective on, I guess we would call like shitty media companies. If somebody from the audience in one of these companies, first of all, they're not in the audience here because they don't care. Number 2, Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Do people read, like, does somebody read Coin, like, who reads Coindesk on the regular?
That's a very hard question to answer.
I check it out a couple times a week.
Sometimes
Really?
they have
I
exclusives.
check like all of them, to be honest. I look through the Block, Cointelegraph, Coin Bureau, Coin Market Cap, Watcher Guru. Just like, because you get a lot of that stuff that you don't see on Twitter. That's more macro news, which becomes more interesting. Especially like, I like Watcher Guru's articles that they don't tweet because there's actually some like good hidden gems in there. But like Cointelegraph's okay sometimes. I don't like to your point, the stock stuff, but when it's news related or about like different currencies and other things like that, or like what's happening like globally with crypto, it becomes more interesting to me. Like to your point, the TA articles suck. Like I don't look at, but that's for any website. Like Coin Market Cap does it, Cointelegraph does it, Coin Bureau, the Block does it. Like anybody who posts a chart and is like Bitcoin's going to 100K next week, I just skip that article. Like I don't see any value in it.
Melissa Mimosa gets her crypto news from CNN. That is a fantastic source for all things crypto. That's where the real experts are employed. Get the tub filled. We'll wait. People are calling for tub talk here. We're not getting in the tub right now. We got a lot of work to do today. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our show. Make sure you go to thenifty.com, put in the password Triumph18. Hopefully you know how to spell Triumph because the producer of this show, Clemente, does not know how to spell Triumph, but it is spelled properly in the password Triumph18. Go to thenifty.com/claim and claim the free NFT for today. Beyond that, we do this show Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to around 10 a.m. Eastern time each and every day. Subscribe on YouTube if you want to actually watch the show. Nick, something to add there?
This guy is the chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation who ended up buying it.
Look at that. There you go. Your thesis was correct. It wasn't a traditional media company. It was more crypto people. Yeah, last but not least, if you want to share the podcast with people outside of Twitter Spaces or YouTube, then you can share the Apple or Spotify podcast link. All those links are available from the Twitter account that is hosting the show, the NFT Morning Show account. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow.